Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the fascinating, data-driven reality behind the ideal frequency of sexual activity and exactly how it impacts our health. We hear so many myths and opinions about this topic, but right now, we're stripping all of that away. We're looking strictly at the medical research and clinical data to see what is actually going on inside the human body. So, let's kick things off with a pretty provocative question, one that medical researchers have actually tracked down the exact answer to. I want you to think about this for a second. How many times a year should you be having sex for optimal health? I mean, is it every day, just once a month? Well, according to a massive 9-year study tracking over 17,000 individuals, 103 times a year is the magic number to significantly lower your risk of cardiovascular disease. That averages out to roughly 1 to 2 times a week. This data actually comes from researchers at Qingdao University who were analyzing U.S. demographics, and it's a really fascinating baseline that sets up the whole picture we're looking at today. To find that perfect Goldilocks zone, our agenda covers 1. The right amount of sex, 2. Benefits of having sex, 3. Risks to watch out for, 4. Sex and infertility, and finally, 5. Having safe sex. Okay, Section 1. The right amount of sex. The General Social Survey reveals this really fascinating natural shift in our habits. Young adults aged 18 to 24 average about 7 to 10 times a month. But notice the distinct trend downward. There's roughly a 20% drop for every decade we age, which brings the 50 to 59 age group to about 4 times a month. It perfectly maps out how our biology and our shifting lifestyle priorities naturally evolve over time. But here's the thing, more doesn't necessarily mean better. Researchers at the University of Toronto found a brilliant paradox. Couples hitting that once-a-week sweet spot actually reported the highest levels of relationship happiness. In fact, couples having sex 4 to 5 times a week weren't actually any happier than the once-a-week group. It really just goes to show that forcing a high frequency without genuine desire isn't the key to a happy relationship. Moving on to Section 2, benefits of having sex. Now, dropping below that monthly threshold has some severe consequences. It actually spikes your cardiovascular risk by a staggering 60%. Having sex less than once a month or less than 12 times a year genuinely increases the risk of premature death. And the reasons why are incredibly direct. The physical activity stimulates blood flow, it drastically reduces stress hormones, and it physically protects the heart. The biological plumbing behind this heart connection is honestly mind-blowing. The blood vessels supplying the penis are tiny, just 1 to 2 millimeters wide. Meanwhile, the coronary arteries in your heart are a bit larger, about 3 to 4 millimeters wide. Because these smaller 1 to 2 millimeter vessels will naturally clog with fat first, erectile dysfunction acts as a literal early warning siren for your larger heart arteries. It's an incredible diagnostic clue built right into the human body. It's practically a full-body workout and therapy session all rolled into one. You're burning about 80 calories every half hour while simultaneously triggering this massive release of stress-wiping endorphins and oxytocin, which leads to deeper, much more restful sleep. Add in the release of the anti-aging hormone DHEA when reaching climax, and you're literally repairing tissues and boosting your immunity. Plus, for men, regular ejaculation significantly lowers the risk of developing prostate cancer. Section 3. Risks to watch out for. Of course, when we chase frequency but completely ignore safety, we immediately expose our biology to microscopic threats. These bacterial and viral pathogens absolutely thrive on unprotected contact, quickly turning a healthy habit into a clinical emergency with very real, immediate consequences. The clinical landscape of these infections is vast. We're talking about everything from highly uncomfortable bacterial issues like gonorrhea and UTIs to systemic threats like syphilis, which can cause severe fever and even neurological damage if left untreated. And most critically, it opens the door to lifelong viral invaders like HPV, herpes, and HIV. It builds a very clear case for why hitting a high frequency is actively dangerous if you aren't prioritizing protection. Section 4. Sex and infertility. For couples actively trying to conceive, the target frequency is 2 to 3 times a week. But here is the crucial factor. You really don't need to do it every single day. The secret is synchronizing this activity specifically with the middle of the female partner's 28 to 30-day ovulation cycle. Using an ovulation tracker is highly recommended by fertility clinics to make sure those 2 to 3 sessions are happening exactly when the egg is ready. When natural timing fails, we rely on 2 major clinical interventions. With IVF, doctors are essentially relying on natural selection in a dish. The egg is placed in a liquid alongside specially prepared sperm, and the strongest sperm naturally breaks through the egg shell. But with ICSI, a microscopic needle bypasses that competition entirely. Used when sperm are physically unable to penetrate the egg, a doctor injects one single strong sperm straight into the center. But there's a hidden microscopic limitation to ICSI that you should know about. Doctors are working with a sperm head that is just 7 microns wide. At that tiny size, it is physically impossible to see the genetic chromosomes inside the sperm or the egg before they're combined. So while ICSI practically guarantees fertilization and creates embryos to choose from, it absolutely does not guarantee a chromosomally perfect embryo, simply because the genetics are too small to evaluate beforehand. Finally, Section 5, having safe sex. Let's synthesize all of this into a concrete roadmap for your own life. First, if conception is the goal, actively track ovulation to hit that timing sweet spot. Second, if it isn't, non-negotiable protection like latex or polyurethane condoms is required every single time to block pathogens. And third, if you face early warning signs like erectile dysfunction or hit infertility roadblocks, let a medical consultation be your immediate next step. We now know that 103 times a year powerfully protects the heart and once a week deeply satisfies a relationship. But it leaves us with one vital question to ponder. Are you just chasing a numerical quota, or are you truly prioritizing the quality, safety, and genuine happiness of your connection? Keep that in mind as you navigate your own health journey. Thanks for joining this explainer, and until next time, keep learning.